Hello everyone and welcome to your weekly tarot guidance for the week of November the 21st, 2022. I would like to continue the theme of this past week, my personal theme, where I wouldn't like to make this predictive. I would just like to offer a little bit of inspiration and guidance to honor the Sagittarius new moon that is upcoming on the 23rd, 24th, either 24th of November, depending where you are on the planet. And it is a really wonderful time to dream big, to do something with our inspiration, artistically, creatively, not necessarily to make plans, like set in stone plans, because Mars retrograde in Gemini, but to make, like, dreamy plans, where nothing has to be set in, it's just an idea, just maybe a game you play with the universe, let's say. Those are kind of encouraged because they can get you actually somewhere. And also, under this energy where Jupiter is also going direct, stationary, standing still in the sky, very powerful in Pisces. And he's also the ruler of the new moon. So Jupiter acts the best when, especially in Pisces, when the power of love, when the power of faith, when the power of the spirit, when the power of dreams, when the power of imagination, when the power of fantasy, when you believe in the sacredness of your dream so much that the divine, perhaps emotionally speaking, has no choice but to lend you some kind of help. But is that not the power of prayer, actually, where the divine does help, even if the divine's help is a bit, how should I say, emotionally triggered, because that would go against certain laws of magic, so to speak, esoteric laws, where there are certain groups of being who are not really susceptible to emotion, and quite the most luminous beings are not susceptible to emotion. So maybe for the higher divine planes, sometimes prayers being answered may seem slightly illogical, irrational, yet added the element, the dimension of emotion, that's when it makes sense so very much. So, as where I want to get with this, even the higher realms sometimes have to bow to the dimension, the realm of the power of emotion, because it can be extremely powerful. That is a divine essence which certain much higher divine beings do not possess, yet a gift that was bestowed upon us and we do not value it, we do not see it for what it is, yet others do. That is why a lot of conflict rules our world and always has done, because are we not truly in a way unworthy for not using our gifts? But on the other hand, maybe worthiness has to be paid with a lot of suffering and pain. So yes, I'm gonna be using just major arcana, this deck, landscapes, because this can give us a hint, a guidance, a small spark of inspiration. Yeah, the devil. Well, the devil speaks about a lot of things here. And as you can see, the artist's depiction of the devil is basically the concrete jungle. The heaven of Capricorn, and when I say it's not Capricorn the sun sign, Capricorn personality, but rather the dimension of Capricorn, where everything is solid, has structure, has a hierarchy, has a place. The system is a bit aggressively forced to interweave and comply. Again, on a rainy day, rainy, I don't know what it is, morning or day or whatever, This is when the busyness begins. So, but of course, this is not the depiction of the message of the inspiration. This just sets a theme because the devil, philosophically, Sagittarius, speaks about us, about the power of commitments, where sometimes commitments are the chains and the ball that weigh us down and enslave us. The darker side of love, let's not forget that the devil is the higher octave of the Lovers tarot card. And how ironically the Lovers is Gemini, Mars. In Gemini, Mars would be in great exaltation in Capricorn. In Capricorn is where Mars gets things done. In Gemini, when Mars gets things figured out. So, the Lovers. The Lovers represents the lightheartedness of love, commitment, relationship, union. The system working, basically. Because the Lovers is... You are one of the lovers, but the other lover does not necessarily, or many times actually isn't a person. It is a job. It is the relationship with a certain aspect of yourself. It can be your position, your identity, your role in any way, shape, and form as husband, wife, child, anything basically that. And that's your relationship, how you are and how you treat the reality of the other, a job. The reality of a job, basically. Value system. How you process it, very Gemini-like. It will basically reflect how the job will treat you. Ideologically, tormented are those people, even those who are great geniuses, who make the world and reality their enemy, because no one can win. It can be conquered, but that will be always a bitter and sad victory. And everything points to that when you overpower something that should not really be overpowered, it's not gonna be a very sweet victory. It's gonna be not even a victory. Anyway, so this depicts the Capricorn where whatever relationship you had reflects back to you, back at you, Pisces, karmically. So relationship with what? We need to ask ourselves this week at least the question, how do our partnerships, not necessarily with a person, but with a part of reality, an area of life, a part of ourselves, a part of maybe actually a partner that you have. How does that reflect you? How does that reflect your input or your output? How does that affect? How does that speak about the intention that you also, approach the relationship with? And it is moments like this when we do have a word to say, because if we make sure that that intent is clear, that intent is benevolent, let's say, that intent is aligned to the divine spheres, as morally, frequency-wise, light-heartedness-wise, then of course everything will mirror that back. And this is one of those weeks where something manifests, because ultimately that is the end message of the devil card, even astrologically speaking. Capricorn, the midheaven, the stage of manifestation, the world stage, another, So maybe we have to ask ourselves, what does the world stage reflect about our collective? What important events are going to be taking place? And another element to this devil card, where sometimes pleasure, sometimes all those earthly Taurian elements, because even Capricorn has a Taurian decan in it, it would spoil us. They are the force of corruption, pleasure, greed, urges, the being drunk on any kind of power, any kind of advantage, any kind of, you know, rank or whatever. There is, of course, that side to it as well. But there are moments when that side, the pleasurable side, the satisfactory side, needs to be part of the picture, because you cannot block a part of earthly life out. Sometimes it's actually about the pleasure, about the satisfaction, about positive compromises, about being rewarded for breaking the habit, breaking the rules, even if those rules are your own moral standard. When times change, we can find ourselves where once we were of high moral and strict standards, in the now we are a bit absurd in them, because if times loosen up, we need to kind of reflect that as well. So sometimes certain kind of pleasures, certain kind of satisfactions, certain kind of feeling of power, of you having control over things, people, spiritually, let's say, something manifesting. That is part of life, and we should embrace it if the universe will, of course, encouraging us as well to accept it. Well, after that long philosophy, there comes the tower. Well, yes, devil with the tower card is breaking the habit. And if you were ever a fan of Linkin Park, there is that song they had, Breaking the Habit. Yes, it will break Capricornian habits. So that means it will definitely reflect on the world stage. Big, something will reach big news. Maybe there will be some kind of disruption. Maybe there will be some kind of political crisis somewhere. There will be, and the other card was the moon. Now the tower is Mars, and I spoke about Mars. So that's why I would imagine it will hit the news, because Mars. But then, strictly personally, combined with the moon, Pisces. Mars squares Neptune and Pisces. Mars, well, it doesn't Jupiter, fortunately, but Jupiter is in, the new moon is in Pisces. So this means that freedom, really, freedom. A glimpse of freedom, a glimpse of a dream that can be realized. Why? Because what does Tower do at Capricorn? It breaks off the chain, it frees, it releases. It releases good, both good and bad, but it releases. The bad goes where it is invited, the good goes where it is invited. Freedom is freedom. So breaking the habits, perhaps in the most delightful and best possible way, because that would be the chain that breaks, the self-limitation, low self-esteem, the lack of self-confidence. But when the tower is in the moon, the soul, the emotion, the feeling, then everything falls apart. As in, nothing can withstand when the soul wants to be free. So I would imagine this will be a karmically, emotionally quite surprising week. So maybe this is the inspiration, the advice, the guidance to be open. Because the tower, in a positive sense, how should I say, the dream which is very unlikely to go anywhere. Well, it does. The divine reacts to dream, to emotion, to feeling, of course, in a bad way as well. Imagine if it has to react to rage. A rage, whatever. So that is not very much encouraged. But imagine if it reacts to the willpower of a beautiful dream that wants to be born. The tower can very well cause, surprises. The unexpected element can be full of wonder, full of delight. So let's get a clarification from a non-tarot deck. I think this kind of confirms a little bit freedom, but by risk, by a leap of faith, by a surprise, something crazy that may be crazy, seen by as crazy or extreme or very unlike you, gesture sets you free, or a communication, an act of bravery. You decide to speak to the girl, to the boy, to X, to Y, to Z, and their reaction might hit you as a surprise. Or you get an email and you expect it's just another email and it's a love email or job offer or who knows. And again, I think the universe kind of insists on freedom because, even spiritual freedom, flying fish. And I think, actually, I know that there are actually fish who do fly for a short period of time. They do have some kind of self-empowered flight. So if it exists in nature, well, that immediately shouts, screams that in spirit it 10 trillion % exists. So yeah, actually, that is one way to interpret Jupiter going direct in Pisces, soaring above the deep ocean. And again, the universe kind of says, this is the dream. See the mermaid, the bed, the Piscean energy, the siren's call. The impossible, because you can imagine to have a mermaid, siren, whatever as a mate. Well, shouldn't you be the one actually drowning? And there you go, you have it. Not necessarily the mermaid jumping up to your bed, but because then no one drowns, really. So this can speak of unexpected manifestation, or that the ideal gets you somewhere. Well, I'm not gonna actually comment on this. So, to close this, another deck. This is also non-tarot. Well, okay. I think the universe is just making fun of me now. Because Jupiter, I spoke about Jupiter, all this reading is the planet of expansion. And it says expansion. So yeah, that is exactly like if you cut it down to a very Gemini, rudimentary Gemini understanding, you can just say what Jupiter in Pisces and this new moon is all about in one word. Expand. It expands. Whatever you want, it expands. So, yes, expansion. But this is the other. Jupiter is in the most intuitive sign of the zodiac. Intuition. So your intuition is expanded. What does that actually even wanna say? Oh, okay. Be gentle with yourself. So this is like a guidance message, more like, okay, so know that whatever you will have within you, it will expand. So basically, make sure it's gentle with yourself. So make sure it's directed in the most positive way, even if it's indulging, whatever way. You remember Capricorn, pleasure towards the self. Do not by any means do oppositely. At least you can do this at least a day, you know. Just try to be really, really nice to yourself, understanding, loving to yourself, encouraging yourself, positive, optimistic. Even if it's not okay, it is gonna be okay, because that's how you empower this. So, this is what I think the cards would like to say. Thank you so much for listening. And again, please use this energy in the most, dreamy way possible. And let us all remember also to set an intention for each other or collectively. Thank you. Until next time. Bye for now.